Alrighty, so week 10, and I realized today that we actually only have one more week left until your next dev project. So, what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to go over this week, but I'm also going to give you a second video in this attendance where I go over my dev one. And I did it last semester and I just watched it and it pretty much is on point. But as a way to have you start thinking about, because at this point, even given the topics we're going to cover this week and for the first part of week 11, so your Dev 1, unlike last time where it was due on a Monday, this one is due on a Thursday. Okay, so that's just the way that week is set up. So I just want you to know. So it's not now. So I'm in week 9 in real time, right? So when I think about it, it's not that far away for you all, and it is time, right? It is absolutely time to start thinking about it. So probably one of the things I'd want you to do is check out the second video, ask any questions you might have of, my covering my dev project, and then we can go from there. But let me just talk about this week and what we have on tap for this week. So this week is a really interesting week because in the Udemy course, in week when I look at this week that we're in, right? So we're gonna do the first little project. I think is really fun, and I never heard of this game before I coded it with Dr. Angela, and it was really fun to do. She used Twitter followers, and I thought that was great. Or was it Instagram? I don't remember, but it was one of those, and it's really a fun, fairly short project, I think, and that's why it feels right to combine these two. Right. So nothing really new here. I think just really good experience, really good practice, and ways to read large data files, which is good. No, I wouldn't say large, but pretty good size. Okay. So again, this one's fairly short. And now on day 15, so you end up doing for your code along. Okay. So let me just show you this. For the complete, and in this case, you're completing day 14 and part of 15. Okay, so, and then we'll have a learn together that I already have recorded a video, so I don't need to cover that. So you'll do day 14 that I just barely talked about, and then you'll do part of day 15. Now, why part? Because in the beginning, she does what you and I did at the beginning of the semester, minus the GitHub stuff. So one of the things that I know my class can create a real challenge for students is I make them set up these local dev environments in the literally the first thing you do. And for the most part, I've noticed students are able to jump over this challenge, but I hope you see the benefit now. And I was kind of surprised when I got to day 15 and she didn't cover GitHub, I believe, in this case at all. But there is some really good content here. And if you're somebody that happened to use PyCharm, so PyCharm is just another IDE. We're using VS Code. I think VS Code is great. It's gotten better, but PyCharm is, and I think PyCharm's from IntelliJ. It's also free, I believe. But if you were somebody that wanted to switch to PyCharm, you could right now. I'm going to stay on VS Code. It's just my comfort zone. I'm comfortable in it. I like the way it works. So 137, 138, 139, 140, and 141, these are optional. But I tell you, I think they're just good to kind of watch her set this up. And there is a bit of virtualization that's built into PyCharm that I actually show you how to do separately if you're interested. So here's, and I've kind of mentioned this, if for your Dev 1, so let's just actually, now that we're here, go actually look at the timing, right? So you can, if when working on your Dev 1, you think, hey, I'd like to use a third-party library. Okay, so here we are, right? You guys are working here. This is the week we're actually talking about right now. So it's next Thursday. If when working on your Dev 1, right? And by the way, remember, I gave the requirements for Dev 1 right after our Dev 0. Okay, so you can go back and look in one of the attendance for that as well. But if in working in here, you think, wow, there's a library I know that would help this. Now, I don't necessarily recommend it, but I also don't discourage it. But I do require you have a virtual environment set up for me to install any libraries, because I have a rule. I do not install libraries without it being a virtualized environment. So I just want to give you that heads up there. But what's kind of interesting in the tie-in here is that it seems like from watching her, because I haven't used PyCharm myself, that they kind of have some built-in virtualization, which I don't think is necessarily bad. But, you know, it also didn't make me want to switch. Okay, so now that's that. So again, nothing you have to do here, just optional to watch it. Okay. And again, I recommend watching it. Of course, these installs are pretty, there's nothing there unless you're having problems with your installs. But this one where she talks about the features, I think is really helpful. Okay, so now the ones you do need to work on, and the ones that really is a shift, right? So here's the other thing. So there's really only 2 videos here that you're doing. And when I first did this work on 142 and 143, it took my head a little bit with the first time I did walk through this in the course to understand what she was doing. So I just want to give you a little bit of context here, right? What she's doing is she's giving you, this is the introduction to what we actually get next, which is object-oriented programming, where we create methods and objects that we then use in our code. And it's just a wonderful, more maintainable for larger projects, and a really wonderful way to organize your code, understanding this OOP. So what she's going to give you is some, in this case, methods that you can use to actually write code based on them. Okay. So it's really, when you first see it, it might take you a minute, but I'm telling you, this is what really helped me. Is in her documents for this, she actually gives you this requirement, and I had to really look and understand this before I could write the code that uses this, right? But I really also like this documentation, and you'll see me talk about it when we get, or as part of what I want to see for your Dev 1s as well. Okay, so again, it's not a huge amount of work here, but it is work that can kind of be mental, right? So just keep that in mind as you do these two. Okay, so that's really, I think, the most of what I wanted to say. The one thing is, because we do get day 16 before your Dev 1, most students aren't, and I think this is totally understandable, aren't comfortable enough to write code in OOP style. But if you are somebody that's come from OOP programming language experience before, you're welcome to write OOP code for Dev 1. I just don't, for most students, recommend it yet until you have the experience. Now, our Dev 2, our last Dev, it's actually a requirement for that one. Okay, because after Dev 1, the content that we're going to do thereafter is focused on, we spend about a week or two just getting more and more OOP experience. And then she introduces Turtle, which is a graphical interface, and that's in where we end up with in the course. I love the second part of this course. Kind of, we're at the we're actually at this, for you all, past the midway point of the semester. So I really enjoy this course, and I enjoy teaching Python. And yeah, there's a part of me that's a little sad not teaching it next semester, but I'm glad I had the opportunity. So anyway, the thing I want you to do, though, right now, is ask any questions that you have about the content I've covered, and then watch my Dev_1 of my overview of my code, and then ask me any questions or clarifications you would like for Dev 1 requirements. Again, remember, you can go back and look at them, right? Now's the time. Now is a great time here in week 10. The sooner you start working on Dev 1, the sooner you can get help, right? I've been trying to really say this to students, like, the sooner you work on it, the sooner you and I can give you some assistance. So I will next week actually release the sign-up schedule. So in week 11, at the attendance post, matter of fact, I might even, well, no, I'm going to do it then. just because of the timing of everything. So I will release that the probably next Friday, which would be at the end of week 10. Anyway, are you on Discord? Because if you're on Discord, that's the best place to get this kind of information where I kind of think I'll do it here, but then it comes to reality and I'm like, oh no, I need to do it this way. So if you're not on Discord, it's not too late. We're halfway through. It's not too late. There's some interactions on Discord, but I'd love to see more. Okay, I'm going to be quiet. Have a great week. Talk to you later.